Is Josh Heupel underappreciated? Is that where you are? Hit the like and subscribe, please. We appreciate it. Go ahead.
Yes, I am just straight up asking the question, and everybody on the message board comment, is Josh Heupel underappreciated? I'm going to say yes. I understand the concerns of the offense fizzling out over the last 2 years with teams somewhat figuring it out, but he did adjust last year with Dylan Sampson in the run game. He got him to the playoff, and we still have to take into account and perspective the state of the program when he took over. He took over a program that was as down as the dumps as you could possibly be in 2021. They had 3 losing seasons in 4 years, the previous 4 years, including going 3-7 in 2020, the COVID year. They had their coach fired in Jeremy Pruitt. They were facing probation. He couldn't recruit at all at that time. And they had a mass exodus of a third of their roster, maybe even half of their roster. So they were completely screwed going into 2021. And Josh Heupel, even with Hendon Hooker, and all credit in the world to Hendon Hooker, that was a miracle work that he pulled off, getting Tennessee to go 7-6 that year. And then the next year went 11-2, barely missed the national title game or the college football playoff when it was just 4 teams, largely because we think South Carolina got a hold of Tennessee signs, and Tennessee wasn't aware of that.
Don't say we. Go ahead.
Oh, you don't think they did?
I don't know well enough to say it. Go ahead.
Well, anyways, a very suspicious game against South Carolina happened that kept them out of the playoff. And so at that point, I think fans were all in. I think there has been a bit of a drop-off with what people see as a vanilla offense now, because defenses have changed the way they play it. And I think people are disappointed with the lack of excitement behind the Josh Heupel offense they thought they were going to have. And because of that, I see a lot of rumblings on Twitter and elsewhere that Heupel's offense is boring. It's been figured out. It's this and that. And in my mind, I'm like, he just made the playoff his 4th year. He just went 10-2 his 4th year at Tennessee. No coach since Philip Fulmer ever had 9 wins in a regular season. And he just did it for this. And he just had 10 wins for the second time in 4 years. So, yes, I think he's underappreciated.
Bobby says Hype isn't underappreciated. The fans love him and cherish him being a part of the dark days. He just needs to beat Georgia and win some road games. Fair point. We'll throw your best messages up on the message board, so go ahead and keep them churning. Let's face it, this isn't even a conversation if Tennessee beats Georgia this season or had last season. It feels like Tennessee has served up second fiddle to another dominant program. It was Alabama previously, it was Florida previously, and now it's Georgia. I think that's the frustration. Can you get over the hump? And if you made me bet, I would say Josh Heupel can get over the hump, but would I choose to lay money on it using your gambling instincts? Caleb, no, I wouldn't.
Wow, so you do underappreciate him. You don't think he can knock that door down?
I hate to split the middle, but I think he's dead even. I mean, I think what he's done now, you should appreciate it because of where Tennessee was, but I don't think you should overappreciate it. Does that make sense?
So, okay, here's a comparison. He's like, if you ever follow the NBA, he's like the coach that develops the team, that gets it to a good point, that makes it start playing well together.
He's Doug Collins.
He's Doug Collins. He's not Phil Jackson, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I get what he's Doug Collins.
Now, I may change in a year. But it's funny you bring up Phil Jackson, who was the guru of aura and culture and all that, and yet it was Doug Collins who got fired by Michael Jordan, whether or not you like it. And now you see Nico bolting. So I don't know. Maybe it's hard to do. Maybe it's hard to pull off a tough physical program and a kumbaya program. Maybe that's what he's trying to do, and it's not working.
So here's where I think we forget this. Now, this is twofold. You can blame Josh Heupel for losing to Arkansas, but let's not forget that comes down to the Jordan Ross roughing the punter penalty. So think about the craziness of this, Dave. If Jordan Ross doesn't get that roughing the punter penalty, Tennessee goes 11-1 in the regular season. They go to the SEC championship game. Let's say they lose to Texas, which is totally fine, and they're 11-2. They, at that point, would get the 5 seed in the college football playoff, the highest ranked seed of the teams that didn't get a bye, and they would host Clemson in the first round. They're winning that game. Clemson wasn't a good team last year. And
so they're in the national championship game almost.
Well, yeah, because in the not almost yes, because in the next week, I'm looking at the next week they play Arizona State. They would have played Arizona State in the quarterfinals. They're beating Arizona State, so they're getting to the Final Four if they just beat Arkansas last year. That's how crazy this scenario was. But by losing to Arkansas in that fluke again off the Jordan Ross roughing the punter, they have to go to the eventual national champions in Ohio State, and they lose in a blowout.
Okay. So, underappreciated or no? That's our poll question. We'll give you the results. The show represented by Banks and Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. We broadcast live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studios, East Tennessee's largest volume dealer.
Why Banks and Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks and Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks and Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks and Jones. T. Scott Jones. banksandjones.com.
All right, Caleb. So, what's the final answer? It is what? Underappreciated or not? I will say no. Hit that like and subscribe button. I'll say he's just about where he should be. Probably following the 2022 season, Josh Heupel was overly appreciated. I think we both agree on that. But how about now?
Well, you say no. I say yes. He is underappreciated, and for one of the very rare moments, fans agree with me. 65% say yes, 35% say no. I want to get to Dylan's super chat real quick. He threw it out. He said, one thing is that Heupel hasn't shown sustainability. 2022 was great, but it's been a slowdown turn since. Always hiring from within and missing on recruiting evaluations is a recipe for eventual axing. Now, Dylan, I warned 3 years ago that there's a big concern about Josh Heupel's evaluating of talent, and I still stand by that. And so I get your point. The reason I say he's still maybe underappreciated, though, is I make the argument that if it gets bad enough, you can get around that because you can just hire a GM who will evaluate all the talent for you.
Okay, but no, he's not going to do that because he's insecure about what happened at Oklahoma. And number two, Tennessee had to take some flyers. We talked about Lane Kiffin for some reason yesterday, and he took some flyers. He took Jansen Jackson. He had to know that the defensive back out of Louisiana had questionable character. He ended up killing a man. So I don't hold it against Josh Heupel that he's had some misses in recruiting. I think that's something that's just going to happen when you take over a program. Now, if you want to say misses in quarterback recruiting, that's totally different. And evaluation, I think that's a real concern.
All right, so we've talked about the misses on the evaluations. I mean, just picking Joe Milton over Hendon Hooker speaks for itself. But what about this, Dave? What about the fact that no offensive lineman that he signed out of high school has yet started a game for him at Tennessee in 4 years?
That's fair. I'll give you another one. Why did Nico start last year or start 2 years ago?
Well, I mean, because of the original sin of signing Joe Milton to begin with. That's why.
So,
He wanted to keep the team together. The team likes Joe Milton, and he
So?
would have lost him. Sometimes you got to do it.
so
I get your point, but like they weren't
So
going to be any better
back
with Nico
in
2
the
years
day,
ago.
when the NCAA had rules, you probably paid Joe Milton to come because he was so talented, but so you could not put him out on the field. You had to play him. But I don't understand why they felt like they had to play him when they had, I believe, a more talented quarterback on the bench.
Sometimes you accept a transition year and you just do it. I think, like, just to give you an example, you can tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I have a feeling Peyton Manning was better than Jerry Colquitt in '94, but they were going to start Jerry Colquitt for the year. And then Jerry Colquitt got hurt in the opening week, so it didn't matter. But I have a feeling they went with Jerry Colquitt. I'm willing to bet because the team was supportive of Jerry Colquitt for staying at Tennessee through the Heath Schuler years.
I think you think more about Jerry Colquitt than Nico. I kind of think Nico would have been a better player out of the chute.
You see, I think that, but I'm saying sometimes you do a transition year to keep the team together. Kalen DeBoer last year started Jalen Milroe. Do you really think Jalen Milroe was the best quarterback for that offense?
With his experience at that time, yeah, I do.
No, I don't. I think Jalen Milroe was horrible for that offense and was absolute garbage. I want to get to Timothy's super chat real quick. because I want to know your thoughts on this. He has a good point. Fans need to quit talking about 2022 because you don't have the same players, so quit talking. It's not fair to the players that they have currently. Well, Timothy, but the question is, look, Josh Heupel is coasting himself of his career off the 2022 season, though. Now, I still think he'd be staying around. The problem with 2022 is that it reset expectations to expect Tennessee to, like, within the next year be the next Alabama, I think. I think a lot of Vol fans thought that, and they haven't seen that yet.
I don't think they thought that. I think they thought challenge the throne, at least.
Yeah, I think so too. That's a fair way to put it, challenge the throne. And they just haven't done it yet, at least with Georgia. But again, as we talked about 2 days ago, Georgia's got some quarterback issues. This is an afternoon kickoff. It's in Knoxville early. Maybe this is the year Tennessee does it.